Now more than ever, it is important to have conversations surrounding sexual fluidity with your teens.
Dr. Samantha Galazzo joins us now with more on how to approach conversations on gender and sexuality. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. This is such an important topic.
It is.
And I feel like most parents, wonder if they're going to have this conversation. How do they have it? When do they have it? There are so many questions.
Yeah, in my work as a clinical psychologist with youth and with families, this comes up so often. And those fears that you're talking about, right? What do I say? How do I approach it? What information do I need to know? And to be honest, there's so much information out there and too much to have a 5-minute segment about, right?
Sure.
But there are a couple of things that we want to keep in mind, and it's about parents checking in with themselves and their feelings about these conversations or fears they might be having, reminding themselves to support and continue to remind their young person that they're loved, and then really figuring out what resources do I need to get connected to if and when they're needed.
How early is too early to have the conversation?
I don't think it's ever too early. So there's a lot of, I think parents think about these direct face-to-face conversations that they're going to have with kids, but oftentimes you're already having conversations in a non-direct way, encouraging what clothes they're going to pick out in the morning, when they're watching shows and talking about characters that they're seeing, talking about their friends. So in a lot of ways, parents are already showing up in these conversations, and they can be mindful in those moments. How am I responding? What are my thoughts about this topic?
Yeah, we always try to just push everybody loves somebody as long as you love who you love, right?
Yeah.
But when does it become that you have to worry about their mental health and their own bodies changing? What age is that really? Is that puberty?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think really it depends where they are and identifying in the LGBTQ realm and thinking about too, how do I want to support that? How are we having conversations? And mental health is always going to be a factor, and what we really see in resiliency is, are they supported by their family, by their school, and by their community. And so if parents can show up and show support in the way through their gender expression, through the way they socialize, how they show up in school, that's great. But if they start to notice behavioral changes, school, grades, isolating themselves from friends, if they notice their kid is starting to change in a way that doesn't feel right to the parent, every parent knows their kids best. And so if they start to see those things, getting connected with resources, a therapist, checking in with the school, advocating, all of those can help buffer mental health issues.
So a lot of people may want to put this off and say, I don't want to think about this now. What are the dangers of doing that?
Right. The dangers of doing that is that you're sending a subtle message to your kid that I don't know that I can handle this conversation. And so if their kid is wanting to approach their parent, they want to know that their parent is open, even if they're nervous. Parents are going to have feelings. Kids don't expect you to be robots. But really, if they can show up and create some spaces to be able to have these conversations, I often tell parents, making sure within your day, within your week, that you're creating like 5 to 15 minutes of alone time, so that if a child wants to approach you about anything, that they have that space where they know to go. Car ride to school, time where you're washing dishes together after dinner. Those that can create moments of opportunity where parents can be open about those conversations.
It kind of want to go back to you're talking about the little kids and how to kind of handle those things, like letting them dress the way they want to. When you say something like that, do you just let them literally dress the way they want to? Because my kids would look homeless if they walked in the house the way they want to. That's where I get confused. Should I let them do this because it's an expression?
Yeah, and I think that's right. How do we want to make sure that we're still being dressed?
Right.
We're still wearing clothes that cover
Right.
our body. Hygiene is important.
Yeah.
And if a child wants to wear a dress, or if they want to wear pants that maybe they picked out in a gender that doesn't align with their sex at birth, that we say, okay, sure, let's put on that pair of pants today, or that dress today, that nail polish that you want to wear.
Okay.
Even if you feel as though that they may be ridiculed at school or picked on, and you're setting them up for a situation where they're going to feel pain down the line.
Yeah, and I think parents worry about them setting themselves up for a situation where it's really not the parents putting themselves in this situation. It's the community or the school system, right? The other families. And what parents, all they can do is support, because I think at least in mental health, it's more detrimental for a parent not to support and not to show up and provide that love and support to a child than it is for them to experience that, because they can provide a buffer of resiliency and help them advocate for resources, get them connected to an appropriate classroom. Maybe they need to change schools, depending on what it is that is happening in your community. Parents are going to be that #1 advocate that we want to be making sure that they feel confident to do that.
And you've got a couple of resources for parents to turn to if they're looking for assistance to get their kids' mental health as well.
Yeah, Chicago's got a lot of great resources. The Center on Halsted is wonderful. The Trevor Project, if you're looking for just information, has a lot of great information. They came out with their national survey, which was really helpful in just understanding the mental health dynamics of LGBTQ young people. And then as well as the 988, which is just actually came out, which is the suicide hotline national. So you can call or text, and all of those are good resources. And really just reaching out to your schools. Schools can be also a good resources for, hey, I need a therapist. How do I get connected?
Perfect.
And it doesn't just have to be the parents, it's everyone. Parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, it's just the whole family unit.
Yeah, the village.
Family unit, and part of that village is also teachers. So if you want to talk to a parent, get them more involved too, and get help to bridge that connection to resources, that's going to be super important too.
All right, Dr. Collazo, thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah,
Thank
good
you.
information.
Yes.